CEO and founder of the Global Performance Nutrition Institute, or AKA the GPNi. I am super psyched, super pumped today to welcome our newest Global Performance Nutrition Institute franchise and exclusive region partner from the UK, Paul Reed. Now, before bringing on Paul, I'd like to give a little bit of background, a little bit of introduction to Paul and what he's been doing for the last few decades, and we can hear more about Paul. But Paul's a very interesting gentleman that he puts athletes' performance, athletes' education, and really the health and well-being of athletes, professional athletes based in the UK, above everything else. And that's what's he's been attracted to and what brought him to the GPNi. He's also certified sports nutrition specialist, or the PNE level 1 with the ISSN sports nutrition specialist. He's also, even though he's a very busy gentleman, he's also part of the next cohort for the PNE level 2 masters with the ISSN CISSN certification as well. I don't know where he gets the time. I think between you and I, he doesn't sleep at night because he's always working, but nonetheless, welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Drew. Thanks for the fantastic introduction. Very kind of you. So, hi, everyone. My name is Paul Reed from Vortex Combat Sports Performance. I am the co-founder and director alongside my partner, Dr. Carl Evans, who is interestingly one of the world's leading academics in sports science today. And we also have Kelly Stadden on board with us as well, another fantastic nutritionist. And interestingly, a judoka, Team GB judoka, also a mixed martial arts athlete on the England team as well. I'm incredibly excited and also proud to associate formally with the Global Performance Nutrition Institute as their UK partner. And just to note that GPNi is a world-leading sports nutrition institute and that learning platform that I recognise as the leader in sports nutrition education. That comes from my first-hand experience, as Drew said, of taking part and being certified in the sports nutrition specialist and the PNE. But then the important thing for me is the courses provided are high-quality, evidence-based courses. And of course, with the GPNi being the official partner of the Institute Society of Sports Nutrition, you can be sure of being certified with the most trusted authority in sports nutrition science today, the ISSN. So, of course, we're extremely proud to partner with GPNi in the UK. I think it's a space, Drew, that needs developing. Absolutely. We work very closely with a lot of athletes in combat sports. So I am also head of performance for the English Mixed Martial Arts Association, and Vortex is the official performance partner of English Mixed Martial Arts.
Tell me a little bit more about that. I think the audience would be I've been blown away with some of your stories behind the scenes. There's not too many people like yourself, Paul, that are as deep into MMA, but especially the UK MMA. I mean, you're even the strength and conditioning coach, if I think that's your title, for the likes of Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. I mean, that's absolutely incredible. The potentially the #1 UFC star that's going to be coming out in the next few years. I mean, you're the strength and conditioning coach of the rising superstar of the UFC MMA, not just in the UK but of the world, Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. I mean, tell us about that.
Well, look, I mean, that's an interesting story. I've known Paddy for a long time. Obviously, coming through his career, he's a special athlete for many reasons. But also he's a special person, gives a lot of time to his fans. Ultimately, I got involved with Paddy about performance, not particularly about strength and conditioning and nutrition, but clearly Paddy was doing some things, let's say, incorrectly. But look, I align Paddy to like anybody else we kind of are involved in. We deal with from 13-year-olds in the youth squad of English MMA through to adults in amateur MMA, through to the highest level athletes. And we don't just work with MMA athletes, we work in combat sports.
You've got it's a pro fight, but is it a title fight with the heavyweight coming up in the UK shortly?
No, so he's headlining. I think it will lead him to a title fight. So,
oh wow, okay.
But we do, we work with Carl's worked with Liam Smith, world-class boxer, ex-world champion. He works with a number of really high-level professional boxers. I work with boxers as well, but we work with jiu-jitsu practitioners as well that are still on the high level stage, wrestlers, this kind of stuff. So ultimately for me, and this is the skill that we gain from the GPNi and the sports nutrition platform it gives us. And I encourage anybody working in sports nutrition to look at combat sports nutrition, because I think it helps you develop your skill set, because you're dealing with an athlete not only has an intense workload, super intense, even at junior level, amateur level, they're working hard than a lot of professionals in other sports. Just workload and number of sessions. But of course, whilst you've got to consider fueling of the athlete and recovery of the athlete, we've got to consider that they're in a weight-making sport, and there becomes a skill set within that as well. So
absolutely. I mean, and this is what I think what separates what we do compared to most, if not all, certifications out there globally. I mean, there are some really good nutrition certifications out there, and don't get me wrong, I think you've even studied and worked with them. The PN Precision Nutrition. They're not bad at what they do. In fact, they're fantastic at what they do. What they don't do, though, is true performance or sports nutrition. And at the end of the day, that's what really separates athletes and even non-athletes alike, because when people are looking to optimize their health, optimize their recovery, optimize their fat loss or weight gain or strength, you really need to be basing it on the most cutting edge, up-to-date science and research. And although there are good nutrition, I like to call them general nutrition programs out there, they don't really even scratch the surface on athletic nutrition. Now, don't get me wrong, what we do is not just for athletes, professional athletes as well, because the same process and the same formulations and the same strategies going to be applied to the everyday person as well. Because let's face it, who wants to be optimizing and perform better at everything they do? Work, rest, and play.
Absolutely, Drew, and you've hit a key part there. Is that so ultimately, what's our role? Our role is within English mixed martial arts, which is from an amateur perspective, is actually to educate the athletes and their parents, the athletes and their coaches. And it's not just about the way they participate in sport and their fuel for their sport. We want them to learn all year round approach to nutrition that leads into sports nutrition, because sports nutrition will teach you that anyway. These kids are in the gym constantly, do 2 and 3 times a day. They never stop working.
Wow.
So, and what we're trying to do is that the biggest threat we have in all combat sports, of course, it's dangerous as it is combat sport, but at the same time, there's weight cutting practices taking place, and some of them are actually probably the most dangerous thing they do, not actually competing. So when I get to deep into that and why we're getting this weight fluctuation. So they're struggling to manage all year round weight, and then just managing weight on a much smaller percentage drop around competition. It's because there's a fundamental lack of education within the sports nutrition field. So, and that's where my experience, and Drew, I have been, and not just PM, but so many different platforms where I've got diploma certifications and studied, and I read as much as I can. I really am a student, even though I'm obviously an old man now. I still like to get the latest information, but
we're all getting old, mate. But we're like a good red wine. You and I, at least, we grow wiser and healthier with age.
Yeah, well, I hope so. But look, I think
I've seen you in the gym, mate. I've seen you on Instagram and Facebook. You're certainly better than most at even much younger than you.
Practice what you preach, a little bit of that too, I think, as well. But I enjoy it, and I like testing myself. And I'm and the thing is, Drew, and I've got to make a point, is that my experience of within sports nutrition has led me to be pretty healthy generally anyway, and I kind of recommend it to everyone. I think my experience at GPNi was how much I got from it, not only from the educational platform, the quality that the ISSN SNS brought. It was also obviously access to all the ISSN standpoints. It's evidence-based, that's literature's
the position
updated.
stands, the journals, Exactly. And also a big point of difference, because like we have on-demand content, and I think it's very imperative in 2022 that you need to be a very much a technologically based platform. Very easy. People can study anytime, anywhere in the world, and with us as well in multiple different languages, not just English, in Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and we're even looking at Spanish by the end of the year. So we're going to have a real a stronghold on, you know, the global population, because at the end of the day, it's only about 5% of the world is a native English level speaker. That being said, the biggest point of difference that we really like to stand out is that we're not just on-demand content, that people are in a class group and they intermingle with different people throughout the world, depending on where you're studying, but online, and you get to gain connections with other students, and more importantly, even access to experts, not just any experts, the elite level PhD experts and researcher that founded and created and pioneered sports nutrition to begin with. I mean, you can get online, ask questions directly. There's no other certification on this planet that can give you that level of access to sports nutrition.
Look, for anybody that's going to watch this, Stuart, I can't recommend that enough. Two things to me, for me, be able to sit and question Dr. Jose Antonio.
That was an incredible one. And that's rare, though. I have to admit, I'm not promising everyone on this call that Dr. Jose Antonio will be as part of the live sessions. I really have to twist his arm to agree on that one. But nonetheless, certainly was a breathtaking experience.
Look, and look, Dr. Roger and all the on the notice on the new cohort, you've got other fantastic high-level speakers. I mean, what I'm saying is that you don't get that opportunity, Drew, 100%. And then the other thing for me is, and this is really interesting, I am somebody that loves collaboration. The sports science environment sometimes, unfortunately, can be a little bit negative. People want to challenge each other and question each other and, you know, point things out in a negative way.
In the academia world, right? Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And it's right. It can be, you know, I don't agree with that. It's like we're all here to learn and educate. We should help each other. And we all might have different views, but like not, you know, as long as it's evidence-based, like we've got to get on with things. For me, I'm in touch with the people that was in part of my cohort from around the world. You know, aspiring people, I mean, academics, students, you know, whatever it may be, young people getting into it. They reach out on Instagram, we talk to each other now. It's like that for me is super important because I love collaborating with others, sharing ideas. You know, a couple have asked me some ideas. I've also bounced things off them. That's a great environment to be in. You don't get from any other platform.
Absolutely, mate. We're really proud. I can't say it's easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. It's quite strenuous work. And myself, I've been in the industry now a little over 22 years. I think I've explained, but for those that don't know my background in the UK, originally from Melbourne, Australia, but I've been in the sports nutrition industry now for over 22 years. I used to be working in General Nutrition Centre, GNC, way back in the day when actually GNC was in Australia. It's now not anymore. I got Salesman of the Year, and my role at GNC was a sports nutrition specialist back then. And then later I founded my own company and the very first health food and supplement and sports nutrition retail store chain in mainland China in 2007. We sold that company in 2017. And all through my 22 years, the biggest component for myself, but also working with customers and working with our employees, was always education, because there is always a fundamental misunderstanding globally on sports nutrition and nutrition in general. I mean, people may understand what a macronutrient is and the difference on calories between carbohydrates, protein, and fat, but that's really not going to give you many tools to optimize and really take your game to the next level.
Yeah, listen, definitely, and this is the major point for me. I think is that we've got to remember that this course has to be relatable to the people that do it. We want them to learn. We want to talk to them in a manner that they understand. We take them through kind of this ground up approach to understanding the more intricacies of sports nutrition, the sports nutrition science. But for me, I want to see that we not only have one of the best learning platforms available. But we also then advise them how we believe is the best way to coach people, so how it's delivered is super important. And I'm going to make a really important point is that one of the reasons I'm attracted to GPNi is not just the educational platform it gave me, it was yourself, Drew, because how collaborative you are, supportive, and that's what we want to bring to the GPNi UK. Myself, Carl, Kelly, we're experienced people. There will be others joining the team as well, but we're experienced people. Carl as a lecturer, for example, me as a large corporate owner, for example, managing thousands of people in my career. We still want to deliver this in the right way, support and help people to be confident in the way they deliver these courses to people, because it's a little bit sometimes that I'm outspoken on. It's kind of like, you can understand the literature, we can understand the theory, but you've got to coach this. People have got to believe in you. You've got to support them through the process.
Absolutely.
And that's a big part of what we're trying to deliver, one through Vortex, but also through the English Mixed Martial Arts Association, and also now as a partner of the Athlete Factory, which is a high-performance gym chain.
You've got more than one hot iron in the fire there, mate. Every time I talk to you, Paul, you're more than dedicated when it comes to athletics. But I think, like me and like others that I know, you're a born entrepreneur, and you can see where dots can connect, I think, more than others. And I think building any good quality business and good entrepreneur, it's like a sixth sense. It's like a feeling you have inside where this person or this business can, harmoniously work together. And really, a good entrepreneur, and not everyone's always a good entrepreneur, but a good entrepreneur always looks for that win-win where collaborations can work and both can rise because of the collaboration.
Absolutely. And I think that the one thing I've learned through my career is that you've got to build relationships with people, and you want to add value. Ultimately, GPNi UK, Vortex, has got to build clients. The service we give to them, clients and support, is very important. We're offering the service, a tool, for people to help them develop their careers, their sport, to become the next sports nutritionist. And we want to build a network of them trusted within the UK, that we can align all the gyms to, all the athletes to, because we need more, without a doubt, Drew. But for me, the biggest thing is that kind of making sure that we communicate in the right way. We build trust. We're kind of a network that talks to each other. We share ideas, and if we need to challenge, we do it constructively. Yeah,
constructively, absolutely, without the big egos involved. Absolutely, totally agree with you, mate.
Yeah, and then the Athlete Factory is something that's really interesting, actually, because the Chester head office, which is, you'll probably see some of them, the videos you mentioned earlier, Drew, but I mean, it's a unbelievable gym. It's a high performance, led by, those in professional rugby will know as a legend, and Phil Greening, his right-hand man, who's been head of performance for many of the world rugby countries. So it's got a strong rugby link. Now, rugby and combat sports kind of have an alignment. It's a collision sport. Obviously different energy systems and different fueling, but ultimately, they're relying on high level sports nutrition, and they're super interested in this now to develop their coaches, the personal trainers that are developing through, but also into the gym itself, because that gym is, you could say not athletes, but they're high level gym users, gym goers. They're serious, and I say this to professionals in combat sports. I'm watching, as we would call Gen Pop gym users, walk around all year round with fantastic physique, training hard, taking it professionally, and we want to support them as well.
Absolutely.
It's the interest in that brand now is getting bigger and bigger as well in the Athlete Factory. So all the way, we don't want to be just combat sport based, but it's going to be a big part of what we do. But we want to add value across all sport. And across anybody who's trying to develop their career in that area, as well as athletes in Gen Pop.
And as far as the UK, just so for those listening that are based in the UK, we wanted to point out, what is going to be available officially, I believe, in September. But by all means, you can reach out to Paul and learn more and sign up earlier. But the official launch, I believe, is in September, Paul.
I think that's just giving me enough time to get everything in order, Drew, you know. But yeah, we're looking for September for official launch, yeah.
Okay, great. So for people to learn more, you can follow. There's already an Instagram, although there's going to be a lot new fresh content. There's already an Instagram up. It's uk.gpni and also uk.gpni.fit for the website, and same with the Facebook. So basically uk.gpni. Same as if you were looking for the Japan, it would be jp.gpni. Okay, so you can learn more there, and the website, the official website, will be up probably by the end of next week to learn more. And as far as learning more about what courses we offer, if this is the first time watching this video, everything will be available in the UK. Fortunately, we don't have any language barriers other than my Australian accent and Paul's English accent, and hopefully we can get by with that alone. But a lot of our experts are global experts throughout the world with, you know, Texan accents to Oklahoma accents to Miami, Florida accents. So hopefully the accent alone is not a barrier. So because it's English based, the UK will be having our full alignment of all of our courses, starting with, of course, the course and certification that Paul himself got to know us by and was certified, the PNE, the Performance Nutrition Expert Level 1, with the ISSN SNS certification, double certification. So that will be immediately available in the UK, as well as the PNE Level 2 Masters with the CISSN that yourself, Paul, is also, I don't know where you get the time, but also is signed up on. And this Saturday is actually the very first live session. But on top of that, we've also got our certificate courses and our foundation courses, which are really important for those that are somewhat new in sports nutrition, whether you're a coach looking to just understand things more, or even a mum and dad that, you know, or a gym guy that, or a fitness person, or someone running a marathon that just really wants a plug in and play, very useful, most up-to-date, cutting-edge sports nutrition science, but on specific areas. So the first one is the Body Transformation Nutrition Coach, BTNC. And this one really just focuses on, well, what it is, body transformation. So it doesn't go down too many rabbit holes on other parts of sports nutrition and athletic nutrition. It really just focuses on building lean muscle tissue and losing fat, using the most up-to-date science and getting rid of that bro science and those myths. So that one's extremely popular. We've been running it in other languages and other regions for a number of years, the BTNC. And the next one is the Endurance and Marathon Nutrition Coach, or EMNC, for those that run triathlons or decathlons, or just, you know, really do endurance sports, whether it's a professional level, amateur level, or just doing a lot of running. You know, and MMA athletes may get a lot of, or any kind of combat sport may get a lot out of understanding, you know, endurance and what it means to nutrition, but also the safety aspects when applying to endurance, because especially in other emerging markets like Asia, which I've obviously spent a lot of time in, there's been a lot of misunderstanding and some fatalities when it comes to endurance sports because they just don't understand. So they're our foundation courses. We have master classes as well, part of the foundation. And about October, November this year, a new one, not available yet, so people don't get too excited, but one I'm very proud of, and Paul and I have spoken a lot, the Professional Physique Nutrition Coach, or PPNC. And that one's going to be absolutely game-changing for those that, you know, want to compete in a physique competition or bodybuilding competition safely, and I do emphasize in the natural arena. So we really focus on the natural parts of nutrition and combining a little bit of the exercise there, but predominantly, and a 20-week phase program on, you know, getting ready for stage and competing, you know, especially for those in the fitness arena. You know, it's having those accolades that you've competed, you've won or got third place, or just the challenge of doing it, you know. But if you're going to do something like this, best to understand the game plan from those that have done it multiple times. And the authors of this course are not just sports nutrition experts, but literally professional natural bodybuilders that have been coaching people for the last few decades and competed themselves as professionals.
Brilliant. And that shows that's the important thing for me, that ground up approach, because we know that sports nutrition specialists may be a step too far if you're, limited in experience. So we've got that perfect platform for you to grow through. And that's where we kind of, I guess, if you think about all the things we want to influence, whether that's combat sport athletes, whether that's gym goers, whether that's parents, whether that's, and we've got a number of athletes, and it's refreshing to see who want to learn more about their own nutrition. So, we've got something for everybody. I think, we're trying to push more and more coaches of the athletes, as in combat sport coaches, to understand it, because it gives them things they can watch and influence and, at least interact when they are working with nutritionists or S&C coaches as well. Because I think it's also something S&C coaches should align with, because understanding that their athletes are fueling correctly is a big part of being able to get them through their strength and conditioning sessions correctly. So, there's so many things we'll have to offer. It's an exciting space for the UK right now, because there's nothing else that will deliver the quality as well as the support that myself and Carl and Kelly and some of the new team, when they join, will give to the people that get involved with the courses.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why we've decided to work with yourself, Paul. I mean, this is not our first call. This is I've lost count how many times we've caught up, and I think it's probably the last 8 months or so that we've got to know each other, maybe a little bit longer, and it's very important to understand your partners, because a big thing that we pride ourselves on and what we're built on is really providing exceptional service, but really authentic content and authentic expertise. Look, I've been in this industry for 22 years, and I absolutely love this industry. It's my only career for the last 22 years, and something even before I started a career, I was lifting weights and drinking protein shakes when I was 12 years old. But to be honest, I don't have a PhD, so I create this network of working with other people, but we also ensure to be working with the elite best in our industry. And I think that really what separates us from, the others that, may have some credibility for sure, but they may not be at that level when we're doing it. And it's not one or two people, it's our whole board of advisory, and that's always growing. I mean, Dr. Evans, your good mate and partner, is going to be joining, and we're having him on the website very shortly as one of the board of advisory and one of our official teachers in the UK. And he has decades of experience in sports nutrition, but specifically on combat sports and weight cutting.
Yeah, well, look, as far as I know, Carl has a PhD in combat sport weight cutting. It's an interesting place. You won't find many people that's got that, as well as lead researcher, head of strength and conditioning, just like he's got so many tools in the box. But the most important thing to me is the way Carl and I have aligned is he's a good coach.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that's really important to me, is that he's a good coach. It's, we work together. We talk every day about an athlete or something going on, look, combat sport weight cutting arena, there's something to talk about all the time, the stuff that amazes us, but also the success we have because we cross over in the producing strength and conditioning programming, working with athletes on that side of things, as well as the sports nutrition. And that used to get a bad reps, but can you be an S&C coach and advise on nutrition? The facts and the results show you can, because make no bones about it, a lot of combat sport athletes don't have a training agent, don't have an understanding of the basic principles. And once you align that and you get them some understanding around how they periodize that and program, and know when to rest, know when to eat, and know when to fuel and periodize their fueling, it makes a difference. So I think that's where we've got a great crossover. We've also got Carl's right-hand man at John Moores University is now head of John Moores University Strength and Conditioning Unit. I want him to align with us as well. He's becoming part of Vortex. So we get this skill set across all, exercise physiology, strength, conditioning, nutrition, and we kind of help the athletes across all aspects of that. And ultimately, sometimes, Drew, you're just a counsellor. You're just somebody they want to talk to. Yeah, because
I think that's one, absolutely, man. I think that's one thing that, the general population, Gen Pop, don't fully understand what it means to be a good coach or a good sports nutritionist is 95% of your work. I mean, of course, that 5% you do need to understand nutrition, and quite frankly, most people don't. But a good large majority is you're being a psychiatrist and a psychologist, because people emotionally eat, they emotionally splurge, they don't stick to things because of emotional or spiritual or whatever the reason, and you need to be their sounding board and bring them back onto the path, because at the end of the day, there are a lot of diets out there. There's many diets, from the keto diet to the vegetarian vegan diet to the high protein, low carb, the intermittent fasting diet. And quite frankly, all of these may work depending on the individual. Of course, some are better than others, and some have more science and are easier and more applicable to others. Okay, and certainly some more that we highly recommend, and some we go, not for everybody. That being said, the number one rule is consistency, and that's the biggest problem that everybody faces. To be frank, even I, Drew Campbell, the CEO and founder, is consistency, because we like the weekends. We like to spend time with the family. So a big part of your role with these professional athletes is holding their hand and being their parent and being their psychiatrist to keep them on track.
Absolutely, Drew. And I think we're trying to influence sport for the better right now, especially combat sport. As I touched on earlier about this acute weight loss phase, it's a weight making sport, and everybody's looking for the advantages. It's known, it's been going on for years, since I competed as an amateur boxer. It's been going on, and it's crazy. What we're trying to do is that we've got to find a way to talk. So at the moment, there's a lot of studies on weight cutting and combat sport weight cutting. You can see it everywhere. Somebody says the dangers and puts a study out. And my point is that that's not getting through to people. We don't need that research. I'm saying spend your research in better areas. Talk to the parents and the athletes and coaches doing it, because you'll learn a lot. Now, for me, with having the GPNi available for these courses, and opening up people to education is a big thing. But I keep going back to it. When I sit and talk to the Emma youth squad or the junior squad, and even the adults who are doing I need them to believe in me, that they're doing it for themselves, but actually that I'm watching closely, and I want them to be better. I think that's the biggest part of the kind of delivery of education, that I want to just make sure that everybody, from the highest academics through to just good practitioners, that how we communicate with people is super important. How they take the information on, apply it, affect their peers, kind of apply it all year round, watch other people perhaps making mistakes and give them a little bit of ounce of their education. That's really super important to me, because we won't change things by putting studies out, because these people don't understand the study, nor will they take the time to read it.
They won't read it. No, they won't. Absolutely. And to be clear as well, and I think we need to clear this up, because I get some very strange, we as a company get some very, maybe not strange, but direct questions, after I'm certified, I can prescribe medicine to people, or after I'm certified, I can prescribe this, or after I'm certified, I can work with a professional athlete and teach them how to do X, Y, Z. And the answer to that is hell no. No. Getting the certification really, and the education, is really just a foundation for you, no matter if it's the foundation courses, BTNC, or the level 1 with the ISSN SNS certification, or even level 2. You guys need that as a foundation, but you also need practical real life experience and work with those that have been doing it for decades, like yourself, Paul, like Dr. Evans, like Geordie Sullivan in Australia, who is, at the top of his game when it comes to weight cutting and really standing out in the crowd, or my good friend, Dr. Reed Reel from the UFC. I mean, you really need to be combining education and real life practical experience, but not, it's not something that you can fake it till you make it on your own. You don't want to do that, because you're messing with people's lives here, literally messing with people's lives. So you firstly need the education, because without that, someone like yourself is, not going to be mentoring or working with someone who is not prepared to roll up their sleeves and get a certification. But they absolutely should reach out to someone like you, and, you know, work under them to really learn the true art of it, because there is a science component and then there's the art component, and that's dealing with the individual people that you absolutely can't do from a book alone, but you need to use your gut instinct a lot on, and that takes decades to really learn.
And it really does, Drew. And this is, I always align this to why I do what I do now, to my corporate career. Getting people to perform every day, whether they're coming into a business, yeah, so whether they're coming into their day job, whether they're interacting with friends or family, whether they're doing a sport, whether there's a skill to that to get the best out of somebody. So that delivery is super important to me. I do it because I like to improve people's performance ultimately. So mindset is a big thing, but you improve mindset and a lot of other things come with it. You mentioned before consistency, sustainability. That's number one. You know, like you say, it's like whatever they choose to do, if they can do that sustainably, then that's the one for them. And I just want to encourage that. But I'm trying to make people not get stressed over it, not, you know, especially over nutrition. You know, what we're trying to do is create enough education that they become very comfortable with it. And they know that, you know, some days don't go right and they just know how to adjust that. And it's kind of taking the stress out, because stress leads to lack of performance. So it's that whole circle really of trying to get somebody to perform, to be healthy, to feel great, to get up in the morning with energy, to go and do whatever their hobby and their passion or their sport is. It's like, I don't know how I ended up doing that, because I certainly I never looked for the role of being a senior manager or managing people, but it becomes natural for managing football teams, to being in the gym as a coach, to managing, you know, over my time, thousands of people in large corporation. It's kind of the same philosophy, if I'm honest. Somebody needs to believe that you believe in them, that you're going to give them the best advice possible, and you're going to check in with them now and then to see how they're getting on. And then when you do that, not only does it make them, obviously give them the tools to make them a better person, but they know somebody else that's doing it for you as well, because you care about them. And I think that's important in the way we want to deliver these courses. We want to see this network of people grow, that collaborate, that we almost create a forum that people, you know, kind of support each other in regions, send athletes to each other, and just discuss best practice, what's working and what's not.
Absolutely, yeah. Many minds are more powerful than one, mate, and really leveraging off that collective network or that collective consciousness that we are striving to create with the GPNi, but with collaborators and key people that are very deep in the industry, like yourself, Paul, and like our many other region partners in Australia, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, etc., etc. I mean, we don't choose to just work with anybody. We really want to work with those that are committed to providing authentic, cutting-edge service and education to the public. And you know, Paul, I think out of all of them, I think you're probably one of the most passionate when it comes to this, because at the end of the day, if I'm not mistaken, you don't have to do this. You know, you make very good money as a career, and I think that's what separates you from most people. Is you do this purely for your love and passion for the industry, and your love and admiration for athletes and bringing out the best of them, because you're not doing this for money.
No, absolutely not. Look, ultimately, I have a large corporate business, and of course, that, you know, I've managed to be successful from a working class lad to do okay. I didn't set up Vortex for anyone to be. There's always an entrepreneurial drive to everything, Drew. I'd say that, yeah. So there's that challenge to be commercially astute to run a business, you know. But ultimately, for me, I give hours and hours and hours of my time just going to shows, educating people, sitting down, sending information. I've got kids on free programs, on the nutrition app, on strength and conditioning programs, whole free seminars, because I want to see these athletes be the safest they can be. That we're talking about youngsters in sport that often are badly advised to. I mean, very badly advised. And there's deaths, as you mentioned. There's deaths in combat sports, especially around weight cutting. And now with all the research about CTE and obviously dehydration and the role it plays within that as well. Of course, malnutrition, not eating well, you know, all the physiological damage created by these very, very low energy availability diets that they participate in, which is crazy when I, you know, interview people. It's like, I just would like to add some value, change, I guess, change the attitudes of people in the sport, because I'm concerned that all I do is travel to shows, spend time talking to parents. I run the weigh-ins on the show on Saturday, for example, just so I can see these youngsters weighing in, and they're already now all, worried about making weight. Like 13, 14, 15-year-olds and want, doing some dehydration protocol, concerned to do so.
Or taking laxatives and they're a teenager because they Googled it, or someone in a forum said, to dehydrate and evacuate things as much. Well, just take laxatives. And not to say that on the very high level that doesn't happen. Okay, you and I both know, although it's not supposed to happen, but a teenager, it's absolutely not supposed to happen.
And that's where I talk about coaching. One, getting the education out there, which I'm excited about, but it's also about coaching this out of everybody surrounding that athlete, that there's no real advantage to doing this, as in to performance. So, and also you're creating a psychological impact on that individual around food and nutrition. And instead of them thinking about it from a performance tool, they're thinking about food becoming their weight cutting tool. And that bothers me greatly. That bothers me greatly. And the attitudes of the young athletes we change have been on the basis of trying to refocus them around performance nutrition, eat to perform, to be an amazing athlete. They being a couple of kilos lighter this way, because no headshots, it's only grappling bout, doesn't matter. Coming underweight, stop stressing yourself out of making weight. That can come much later on in your career, and then people like us will help you with that. But for now, I've got to make a difference, and one is I've got to do that by having a tangible platform to train people under, which GPNi gives me. Also, then the way we reach out to people and keep doing what we're doing, which I'm incredibly proud of what the English Mixed Martial Arts Association does. It's given so much time to try and help these athletes be better. We probably don't share enough of the success stories we've had of changing people's, opinions around weight cutting, but that's why I'm excited about my alignment with the GPNi, which links in nicely with Vortex. It links in nicely with all these athletes and all these gyms, and then the environment everybody operates in, because there's a lot of sports nutritionists. Give you a great example, Drew. So a guy reached out to me. He's a professional rugby analyst. He's an SENR registered dietitian. Guy's good at what he does, but he's reached out for the Zoom call to talk about combat sport weight cutting. And he'd like to understand more. He'd like to work in the field, but what I like is he said, can I have a call, do you mind? Rather than saying, I'm just going to become a combat sport performance nutritionist tomorrow, when he knows he doesn't work in that field and it's probably more intricate. Somebody with great academic background, if you're SENR registered, that's pretty high level, but then is reaching out to understand more. Now, that for me is what we want to try and get to people with.
Exactly. I mean, they have the right attitude, and they're looking to create a good foundation, and that are teachable. They are coachable, because if you want to be a good coach, as I think you've mentioned to me more than once, because you are still studying yourself, you need to be coachable. To be a good coach, you need to be coachable, and you need to have a good attitude, drop the ego, and really absorb as much information as possible from the academia world, but also from the real life world, from those that have that experience.
Yeah, definitely do. I always say, if you're going to work in combat sport, you need to be in the trenches. There's the theory and the science, but you've got an interesting human being, because they're interesting human beings because they're combat sport athletes. They have chosen to be either punched in the face, kicked in the face, or choked, or put in joint locks for their career. That's an interesting athlete before you start. So they're all different. Don't get me wrong, but they live in a very stressed environment, very pressurized environment.
Gladiators of the modern world.
Absolutely. And they're in that kind of, sympathetic, parasympathetic kind of nervous system all the time. Our job is to deliver tools to them that makes them feel a bit more relaxed, takes the stress out of it, and actually makes them more healthy and perform better. And that's ultimately what we want to do with Vortex. And just having this platform and aligning with GPNi, Drew, I can't tell you that's how excited I am to kind of start getting that through the UK.
Well, so am I, mate, and I absolutely look forward to traveling there, hopefully very soon, when at least where I live is a little bit easier on international travel. But I look forward to having a protein shake or two with you, mate. It's going to be, but also, hopefully front row seats watching the UFC. That I know you have to be impartial. but I won't be. I'll be certainly rooting for Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. I'm a huge fan, and many other UK fighters. So I hope to be there. Maybe this year. We'll see what happens. But for those that are listening, I'd absolutely warmly like to invite Paul and welcome Paul and all of his cohorts of experts that he's working with the UK, not just Paul alone, bringing performance nutrition, science-backed performance nutrition education and certification with the GPNi and the ISSN to the UK market, and that's the entire UK, Ireland, England, Wales, and Scotland. So if you are wanting to learn more, please get in touch with Paul. You can find him at the UK GPNi on Instagram, Facebook, or ukgpni.fit on the website. Also, English MMA. I mean, you can't get someone more plugged into English MMA and UK MMA than yourself, Paul. So there's many different ways. And under this Instagram and Facebook, on our Instagram and Facebook, we'll have all of your information and vice versa. You know, our information to learn more will be under Paul's when we launch this video later next week.
Fantastic, Drew. Can't thank you enough.
Excellent, mate. What we traditionally do, because we can't be yet in person, you know, that official handshake. I've been doing that official handshake, and it becomes the screenshot for Instagram. But I think it looks a little bit silly. So instead, I was just going to we just do a thumbs up together. There we go. 1, 2, 3. There you go, mate. That'll become the screenshot that we'll display on Instagram. Okay, mate. Well, absolutely pumped to be working with you in the UK. I couldn't ask for a better partner to work with, mate. And your entire team, and your team's going to be growing substantially over the next few months. Do you have any final words to say to the GPNi global audience or the UK audience?
I think, well, global audience, I just keep encouraging people to get involved with the platform and develop their career through the GPNi, because you won't get a better platform. Seriously, you know, the way you can develop yourself. And it's important, I do note this, and Drew mentioned it, I'm conscious a lot of other people, whether they're athletes or coaches, have got a lot of things going on. The beauty of this course is that you've got available an online available tool that can now enable you to come in and out and kind of, you know, do that in that more of a relaxed, although still, you know, serious environments. But that's the big thing for me. I wouldn't have been able to get where I am today with everything I do if I didn't have the way the GPNi enabled me to learn and get certified and complete. You know, so the UK platform will make sure we understand what your pressures are, you know, what timing you can give, make sure we engage with you in that kind of fashion to make sure it fits you, because that's super important to me, because I know, you know, people have a lot of things going on, especially, you know, the way the UK is right now. People are busy, they're trying to work in other areas, you've got lots of things going on. Don't be frightened that you can't fit this in. You can fit this in, you can learn a lot outside of what you're doing anyway, and it'll be the best thing you'll do for your sports performance nutrition career.
Awesome, mate. Wow. Cannot wait. And anyone who wants to sign up early, by all means, because in the UK, you can plug into any one of our global cohorts. We're running all of our different courses and certifications all the time. Because it's English language, you can join the global cohort, but you must contact Paul and his team to be involved, because they are our official and exclusive partners for the UK. But September onwards, there will also be local cohorts where you can be plugging in locally, potentially even offline. Some of the elements of the course will be taught offline by experts in the UK and by experts globally as well. So there'll be a lot of offerings in the UK coming very, very soon. So please stay tuned.
Yeah, 100%. We're going to just touch on that. The Athlete Factory will be an educational centre with classrooms to deliver offline courses in time.
There you go. Well. Perfect. Look, I love online. Don't get me wrong. A big part of our business is online, but you can never replace offline. That feel, touch, up close and personal. So I'm very, very excited and very happy that UK will be able to have offline sessions as well.
Definitely.
And no better than the Athlete Factory. I mean, wow. I mean, they can get education and then train in probably the UK's very best performance gym, if not one of the best in the world.
It aims to be just we are building an extension at the moment to put a combat area in there with a cage and the boxing ring and the jiu-jitsu mats as well. So it's going to be a centre where people can come and do the technical work. We're going to have some technical coaches in there. So, and then can they do their strength and conditioning work if they want to? They can come up to our fantastic cafe and get some of the best recovery shakes, all Informed Sports products used, just notably. And then they can come to the classrooms if they want to educate themselves as well. So we've got something for everybody. Excellent,
mate. Well, you and I can certainly jump down a few rabbit holes, mate. After all of the region partners we've gone through Australia, Japan, India just recently. This has been the longest, but I have to say, the most energetic and the most passionate one we've done to date as well. So whoever comes up next, I should say, in a region partner, whoever the next exclusive region partner will be in the GPNi, they have a lot to live up to after this call.
Yeah, sorry, I am super passionate about it. I can't.
So am I, mate. That's what makes it's an amazing call.
Yeah. Great. Fantastic.
Okay, everybody. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.